So this isn't a traditional Top Gun show. Like, welcome to the Top Gun show. Tim and I were talking about this a year ago, right? I think it was after last Channel Partners. You were like, we sat around a bar and we were talking about the old days, and I kept thinking, Farmelo, you should have been here. You should have like filmed this. So that's what this is. It's just a couple of questions about the old days and the old guys and who made this thing happen.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I'm older than all of you.
Old guys?
You are.
I
God.
can throw stones,
Yeah.
and like you're. I probably babysat you. I don't know. Maybe I probably did. So I don't know. Maybe we should start by just giving a 10-second intro, 15-second intro, what your background is. I don't want to do it because I'll say too many nice things about all of you guys. So why don't we just start with you, Tim? Just give an intro of who you are, what you're doing right now, and we'll go around this way.
All right, great. Tim Basa, I'm currently the SVP of Sales at Teleris. I started my career in the channel in 1994, selling long distance, door-to-door, commission only for a long distance broker.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to start.
Yeah.
Christopher Shubert, Vice President of Channel at AppDirect, and I started in 1998 selling big, huge, expensive cell phones.
Yeah.
The big bricks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good workout for your arm.
Yes.
That's great. Charlie Pagliazzo, I am the VP of Channel Sales and Operations for Granite Telecommunications, and I started off cold calling to aggregate toll-free numbers on AT&T.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Back in 1993.
Wow.
Well, God damn it.
You were 10.
Andrew Pryfogle. I own the CX and AI practice for Avant in our global education initiative. My first job in this business was in residential customer service at MCI, the long distance phone company, in 1987.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Wasn't expecting that.
87?
87.
So you're all the old guy. You're the old guy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you again. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much time we have because like people have been telling me, I love your Top Gun show. And I pass people in the hallway. Oh, can I have a selfie? I love the Top Gun show. And people have told me you should do like a Joe Rogan style, where you sit around for 3 hours and talk about stuff like this. And I'm like, well, I think I'd fall asleep if I tried to have a 3-hour episode. Like if Trump came.
Because you're old.
Yeah, because I'm old. I mean, if Trump came or something like that, like Joe has, like I could do something like that. So this is my first attempt at a long version. And there's no monetization. There's just like, I mean, I love all you guys. Like you're all meaningful to me. I have a story about every one of you that I could tell. And maybe I will. I don't know. I mean, I remember my very first... Well, actually, 98. I was the first employee of a CLEC startup called Advanced Telecom Group.
Okay.
And it was the old Brooks Fiber Communications people, and Cliff Rudolph met with me. He went around town in Santa Rosa because he loved wine, and they said, "Hey, Steve Farmelo knows a lot of people, and he just sold his business, Santa Rosa Paper Company, and you should get him. You should get him to be a GM. He's a good leader and all this stuff." So Cliff called me, and I interviewed with him, Mike Black, and Kurt Wheeling, the old Brooks Fiber people who made a lot of money for the VCs, and then they said, we'll give you more money. What do you want to do? Deregulation, go against Pac Bell. Yeah. So they were going to do this startup in Northern California called Advanced Telecom Group, and he called me and interviewed me. And he goes, I'm going to hire you because, a lot of people, you have a good reputation, you're clean. Back then I was,
Clean.
Good hiring.
Don't do that.
Like, if you're going to hire someone, they should be clean, like not dirty.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Buddy, check your fingernails?
No, it's
like,
just
what
like
do you do?
reputation, I think. He went to the Chamber of Commerce, he went to the mayor, he went to the city council, and they're all like, yeah, get Steve, he's a good guy. So I was going to help them start up. I was the first employee of 700, and we raised 600 million, 300 million in VC and 300 debt equity. And I remember he pulled me in and he said, I'm going to hire you, but I have a question for you. Do you know where telecom, like dial tone, comes from? And I go, God made it on the seventh day. People thought he rested, but he made dial. I have no idea. What difference does it make? Aren't you going to hire some engineers that'll answer that question? So that was my first thing. I did 4 years there. Left the industry for a while, and came back to run Top Speed Data.
Oh, yeah,
Somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, they're looking for a GM. They're looking for somebody that understands the business and leadership and all that kind of stuff." they said, we want you to go to this Intellisys thing called Channel Connect, I think it was, in Napa.
Yeah.
And you were on the stage. And I sat there and I'm like, I want to be him when I grow up. And look, we're sitting together, the old guy.
There you go.
1967, is that when you started?
67.
57.
Yeah.
What year was the Channel Connect that you saw?
Well, it was, gosh, I don't know. It was, I want to say like 2010-ish. I don't remember when
Yeah,
It was after
left
that.
Napa.
Yeah.
The
Like your
Mar-
first one was
Meritage or
early,
something.
or like, what was it, 2008 when you got acquired?
So Napa, we did first one in Napa at the Meritage was in 2013.
13.
Okay.
So before that, we were in San Francisco for 3
Yeah.
years, right? And
San Francisco.
downtown, and then I think it was 13 where we started the Napa there at the Meritage.
It had to have been around that time.
But it was also that's where I had Joe Montana on stage.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
And then interviewed him, and he spoke and did great. And then I said we have a surprise tonight. We have a real special treat because also in the room is the other half of the catch,
Yeah.
Dwight.
Oh, Dwight was there.
And Dwight was sitting right there, like at a front table amongst everybody else. Nobody knew he was there, and he was sitting right there in plain view.
Yeah.
And he stood up, and I had these questions, like you kind of had an idea of what you're going to talk about and what you're going to ask him. I asked one question, and then they just took it and ran. They would room together, on the road,
Yeah.
and they had stories, and they started giving each other shit, and they were talking, and it was a blast. It was a really cool night.
But you talk like you like the 49ers. You don't, do you?
I thank you. I do not.
I know. You.
not-
I wore these socks
Oh,
for
look at
you.
Look at you. That's awesome.
I wore these socks for
That's
you.
fantastic.
Well, and me, because I love the Raiders. The Oakland Raiders. Just don't call them the
So,
Raiders.
Raiders
two
lovers.
things about that event. The
Yeah.
first is those guys were super generous.
Yes, they were.
A lot of celebrities would leave those events and never talk to
Yeah.
anybody. They hung out
They did.
at the lobby bar
Yeah.
and like let people interact with them.
Yeah.
So fast forward to today,
Yeah.
right? Mac Clark
That's right.
works on our sales team
Yeah.
at Tolaris.
Yeah.
Really?
And he's
That's great.
he's an amazing. So he's definitely an emerging channel leader.
Yeah.
And it has very, you could tell who his dad was
Right.
because I told him a story about his dad where his dad never broke eye contact with me. I'm asking questions, he's asking me questions.
Yeah, yeah.
And that event is chaos, right?
Yeah.
Like this event we're at. And he was just very locked in. And I said, you have that exact trait that your father had.
Yes.
That's
yes.
cool. What a great compliment.
Yeah.
He was a great kid. I met him. He did an internship at Intellisys years ago, and when he was just getting started, and it's when his dad had gotten sick, and we had done an event where talk about generosity, right? I mean, Dwight Clark, he was really ill at the time. He was kind of fading fast, but he showed up to shake hands with people and to take pictures, and it was just like 8 weeks later that he was gone. Really, really sad to see.
Wow, that was
But
quick.
but his son, man, you're right, carrying on his legacy there in a different competition, if you will. But yeah, bright future.
And although Steve got some of us old guys together, what's pretty unique is we're seeing some youth come into our business,
Yeah,
which is
for
great.
sure.
That's so important.
Yeah,
A lot of our kids, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like how
Second
many
generations.
Yeah, how many people? I know we have at Avant. I think we have over a dozen employees now that are kids of somebody in the industry, at least, right? So,
Really? Wow, that's great.
young channel leaders.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
I was
no,
going to
go
say,
ahead.
I know tonight there's a cocktail party. The young channel leaders are putting it together, and I know we both have people that are reporting
Yeah.
us on that panel. They're taking the ball and running
Yeah,
with it.
that's
great.
Talk football,
We
right?
just
They're
crossed
taking the
over
ball and running with
350
it.
members.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
cool.
Is
That's-
that the
that's
under
a
40
40
group, or is this just the
Under
youth?
40, but most are under. A lot of them are in their like late 20s,
Early 30s.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
That's great.
Yeah, which is really great.
Yeah, I think
that's
I think they recognize there's a lot for them to get after. And I don't think they're like looking at our birth dates to think that how long those guys are going to be around. But maybe they're thinking about that a little bit.
Well, I think it's important that, as a channel, that we are working to find ways to get more young people into the channel, because as we were talking earlier, the kind of that front line that used to happen at the carriers, where they would hire in, kids straight out of college and train them up and teach them all about, at the time, dial tone and internet. That's not happening anymore.
Right.
That frontline worker, a lot of times it's outsourced employee, possibly in another country, and they're not building the farm teams like we did. We all came from that.
Well, the other thing is because of COVID, they've all been remote.
Yep.
Right, so they didn't have the office experience we had, where you show up at an office at dark 30, you leave
Right.
at dark 30, or if you go out in the field to sell, you have to come back at 4 o'clock and report your numbers for the day. They don't
Drop off your stack of business cards.
Stack of business cards?
Yeah, they don't have that experience because it's all virtual. It's just not the same.
The 4 o'clock Friday, back in the office, week review with the case of beer, which you can't do anymore, right? But yeah, that was part of it. That's how that built a bond, shared experience.
Right.
Yeah. So I think this group, is recognizing how they'll take it post-COVID.
Totally.
They're recognizing how important it is to interact, and you can't be just doing this. You can't just be on the phone. You can't just be on a screen. So I think these guys have the ability to take the new technology and everything that's going to come down the pike and make
Well,
a
I think
difference.
that's support because you have to have that support system, right? I mean, this gig is not easy.
No,
I mean,
that's
it's
right.
tough. It'll break you down. It'll drive you into the ground. And what does make it worthwhile is the camaraderie. It's working with that crew and learning how to sell, learning how to fail, learning how to get back up. And
Chris, this is a safe space if you really want to open up.
Oh.
We got you. We've been doing
Oh man, no, I get it.
Let me rewind the clock here. We're
Okay.
going to get to like where's the channel today and where's it tomorrow. What do we need to do better and all that kind of stuff.
So you just want to go back to making us feel old? Okay,
I
great.
want to
thanks.
go back to like who started this channel. Like I always thought I did a 3-part documentary on the channel. Couple 3-4 years ago, and I interviewed Deller and I interviewed Sheldon from Intellisys founders and a bunch of other people. I don't know. I think I interviewed you and some other people, and people would call me when I posted that documentary and like I watched that. I started the channel. It's like, okay. I mean, there's not like a birth father of the channel, but like, when did it start? Who started? Like in your memory, and there's no wrong answer here, but like, when did the channel start?
Yeah, look, I only know what I know, so I can say what I remember. You guys can fill in the cracks. So I started right out of college, right? Navy blue blazer, khaki slacks, selling long distance door to door. So I remember sort of the godfathers of like the long distance here, like a guy like Sherm Henderson, Unidial, which became Lightyear, Bill Oberlin, AllNet, Cable and Wireless. And I remember hearing stories of those guys, and they were the ones who sort of really put the channel in the spotlight. And then that spawned, the Intellisyses of the world and the Microcorps and the Telegrations, because a lot of those folks worked in those companies. I'll let you guys run with some names, but I think about like Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, like iterations of the channel, and I feel like I was probably like Generation 3, and the guys who are Gen 1 are probably in their 80s now, right?
Well, it's funny. I've always been in competitive telephony. I never worked for an incumbent. Always competitive telephony, and you mentioned Sherm, Bob Hale, who was our concierge. And we all remember TRA and the events there, and
those were my first events.
Yeah, and we talk about stories we could tell from those. But competitive telephony to me is why the channel exists. Right, because you had to get outside of, God bless them, the incumbents built a structure, but competitive telephony is what created channel.
That was the breakout.
Talk about you talk about Bob, and then you bring things, Rick. To me, Craig Schwab, to me, is somebody who really showed the way of how to do that. How to do
in
it, how
a
to get
new
people.
school way, because it was very different until Craig showed up.
Yeah. So to me, those are some of the things that pop up. But
Well, I think it's interesting because when you look back on it, and you talk about the Gen 1, Gen 2, it all comes back to government deregulation and allowing us to have competition.
Yeah, that was the birth.
You have your first generation, which was doing long distance. I came about the second generation, which was the beginning of CLEX and competitive carriers like Granite. And I think it's the courage of entrepreneurs to take advantage of that. Because everything that happens to the channel comes about with some level of risk. And an entrepreneur taking a risk to go out and start a company with generally no backing or funding. There wasn't a whole lot of PE money back in the days.
Different days.
And people just built something. And that's why so many of those companies that started, they do become legends.
Yep.
They're the ones that are in the Hall of Fames of all of our distributorships.
Rick and Rick started Intellisis with $10,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
See those old pictures of like two desks.
Yeah, exactly. Spun out of Cable and Wireless, right? and started with $10,000 between them. And so you're right. I mean, it's one of the things that I love about this business still every day is you're working with trusted advisors that do put it on the line every single day, right?
Yeah,
The entrepreneurial spirit in our industry is still alive and well, and we have to celebrate that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really big deal. I had an interesting experience with in 2016 at Intelisys, we sold the company to ScanSource, and at the time I owned a restaurant.
I've been there. It's good food, man.
A couple of food trucks and a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I was given this speech around the country about I had the food truck, and now I put up a blueprint on the screen of my restaurant that we were building, right? And I had this analogy around as you're building a restaurant and as you're building a business and the people you have to hire and the decisions you have to make and the risks that you're taking, all that kind of stuff. And I gave this speech, and it was as my dad would say, that it preached. I mean, it really worked. People connected. The TAs all over, they were like, oh yeah, I get this. This is why I do what I do. I gave the speech at ScanSource's partner conference in Hilton Head, South Carolina, just a couple months after the acquisition, and in the prep time before, the day before, they had me on stage. Can you walk us through your speech? And I said, sure. So I clicked through the slides really quick and said, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we want you to what's the talk track? And I'm like,
full dress rehearsal.
full dress rehearsal. I was like, well, I don't really do that, but I'll give you a sense of it. And I start talking about it, and I get to this slide with the restaurant. So this is and then I talk about the restaurant. It says, well, we were thinking maybe could you say a restaurant instead of your restaurant, right? I'm like, I don't understand. He said, well, we don't want this to feel like it's self-promoting. And I said, so you're concerned that I'm going to give a speech in Hilton Head, South Carolina, with the hopes that people are going to rush to the airport and fly to Sonoma, California to go eat at my restaurant, right? Yeah. I said, you're missing the whole point of the story, which is my goal was to connect at an entrepreneurial level with TAs. And that's what it was doing, as we talk to people, right? You figure out a way to, even if you've never started or owned your own business, we have to always figure out ways to connect with TAs at their level, right?
100%.
And that's the biggest respect I have for, the early guys, the legends in our industry, right?
And I think too, I mean, you mentioned Rick and Rick.
Yeah.
I think there was an element they needed for them to succeed, the channel had to grow. So it couldn't just be their gig. It had to be others. And I can remember when Rob Hale asked me to say, hey, we got to do channel. If we're going to do Granite, we got to do channel. I was doing the data center business for him at the old place, Network Plus. But as soon as I made that flip, Deller couldn't have been more supportive because he wanted to see us here's some of the things that would make sense to succeed. And he couldn't have been more forthcoming with, hey, here's some things that I've seen. You might want to try this. You might want to stay away from this. And whether we were going to make money together or not, that wasn't what was driving it. And I think the foundation of where we are today came from people like that who supported it, knew that it had to grow, and recognized that.
Well, they were business builders who wanted to help people build businesses. So when you look at Rick and Rick at Intelisys, and you just talk about the generations of it, Karen and Brad at Microcore, Dennis at Telegration, like the old age of Greg Pratsky.
Sure.
As people came in, they were but they wanted to mentor as much as possible because that rising tide raises all boats, right? And then we have this highly fractured place. And then you see like the Telarus guys come in, change the game a little bit with GeoQuote, right?
Right.
I and Drew come over top with Pathfinder. We sort of find ourselves here today. Steve will lead us in any direction he wants, but it's been fun to watch those things happen. And somebody has to come in who's entrepreneurial, who sees an angle to say, there's a whole nother level available here. There's an unlocked code.
That's right.
And we're going to take it up another level, which is pretty cool.
Another early legend in our business, right? I was running channel for Covad You have to enunciate
my
that
God.
carefully. You have to enunciate
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
DSL product.
Yeah.
Oh,
Covad,
baby.
Covad, right? The DSL company, and I launched our first channel program at Covad, and the first master agent we signed was Intelisys,
Yeah.
and went through that whole process and got them all signed up, and then I flew to Chicago, and I go and I meet with Shepstone.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting across the desk from him, and we're chatting, and I hand him the contract. Like, this is the master agent contract. And he takes it and he's looking at this and he's just going through it. And he said, so you're saying Rick and Rick signed this? I'm like, yeah. He said, good enough for me. And he signed it and handed it back to me.
Wow,
Right?
compliment.
That was it, right?
That's right,
yeah. It was, and it was really cool.
great.
And to your point, Rick and Rick would not have been disappointed that I signed Shepstone at all.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we got to grow this thing, right?
make
They
it
saw
happen.
the big vision, the big
That's
picture.
right.
Adam, I mean, oh my gosh, Adam and Patrick, early on, them telling me, we just want to grow up to be like Rick and Rick.
That's
I
right.
remember
Yeah.
Adam telling
Did
me.
they really say that?
Adam
That's
verbatim
great.
said that to me.
I love that.
We just want to grow up to be like Rick
Love
and Rick,
that.
right? They modeled it a lot after
Yeah,
what they learned in Rick and Rick. Jay Bradley
course.
were incredibly gracious
Carol
with
Yeah,
everybody
Carol.
in this industry to because they wanted to see the industry thrive.
Yeah.
Well, and you needed the competition to drive the next level. So,
Yeah.
Patrick and Adam create GeoQuote.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then Intelisys didn't have a great back office
No.
then. And then all of a sudden, 18 months later, now there's this back office, and now we're making more data-backed decisions. And then
Yeah.
fast forward to where we are today.
Yeah,
where
amazing.
We're all using that data to provide great insights. But
Yeah.
that was a fun time. I think Nautilus was a game changer at Microcore. So
Yeah.
it's fun
So
stuff.
was Intelisys, this is what I think, because I got in late
Yeah.
into the industry. Was Intelisys really the first TSD? Would you say they were the first?
I don't know if they were the
I
first.
think Ted would probably argue Planet One was
Yeah,
the
Planet
first.
One
Ted
could
might
argue.
argue.
I think
Often
that.
around
I think
earlier.
Shepstone might argue.
Yeah, Shepstone,
Vince might
Dennis,
argue it.
TBI.
Vince Bradley,
Sandler?
Dennis Rowie, Alan Sandler.
Yeah.
They were all around the same time.
All pioneers.
They were all
absolutely.
pioneers
No doubt.
with Deller and Sheldon. I think, but there were so many fractions around. It was really Arbach based
Yeah.
in some ways, right? It was fractioned up around because a
They're
lot
all
of
regional.
Well, a lot of
Yeah.
them started as authorized distributors for Ameritech
Yeah.
or Pac Bell. So
Right.
and they were also ripping long distance. So they were
Yeah.
very fractioned around the country in those Arbach territories, which is crazy.
But I think there's also just the explosion of the CLECs, which all embraced the
those are the
channel.
next thing, yeah.
Whether it was Nuvox or USLEC or Paytech, those companies that came in and they leaned in hard
Yeah.
to those early TSDs.
Yeah.
And eventually that brought them the big ones because AT&T didn't work with these guys at the beginning,
Right.
but they do now.
They just started last week, actually.
Say nice things about it.
With
No,
Juice.
but think about the waves that we're talking about there, right? So those early deregulation days, and I remember at one point our sales team was like 350-ish people, and mostly direct at Telegration, right? And then agents. And we'd have direct people jump off the boat and say, this business is dying. It's a race to zero. My commissions are going down. It's never going to get better. I'm going to go sell mortgages.
Yeah.
I'm going to go sell vacation club memberships.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then, you fast forward a couple years.
Mortgage
and-
brokers.
But then all of a sudden, the internet boom takes off, right?
Yeah.
But then 08, 09 happens. But then another boom comes right on top of that,
Right.
Or even during that.
Right.
People jumped off during COVID. They took a COVID vacation,
Yeah.
and other people stocked up and built an even better business.
Filled the voids. Yeah.
So although it's kind of been a sine wave, it keeps going up.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
really blessed to be in a business that's
Yeah.
always moved up.
For sure.
But and it's always evolving too, because it's interesting you mention that, because like there's we have these boom periods,
Yeah.
right? The internet circuits, cable when cable
Cable,
hit, UCAS hit. Now we're in the AI boom.
AI, yeah.
It's like if you are a person who gets in this industry, we're lifers.
Yeah.
We're lifers for
Yeah.
a reason. It's
Yeah.
because there's always something new, something exciting that will keep us going. Now we still sell. Do we sell DSL anymore? No.
But,
Yeah.
go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, but we're always finding that next new thing.
Yeah.
Just go back in time though, real quick, and then we'll fast forward really fast. Think about when we started. The customer had very limited choices, and we were the providers of information. Like someone walking onto a car lot, to buy a Buick, you get a sales brochure, right? We provided all the insight. Now we help eliminate the confusion.
That's right.
Because there's so many choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and our advisors around the world, we help them create clarity and confidence, remove friction, because the buyer can't make a decision. They can, but they can't make a really confident decision without someone
Without
sitting
input.
next to them at the table.
Yeah.
There's been, like to your point, because of technology, there's been a lot of little waves of change, and then there's been some big waves of change. I remember when you were at, I think it was Channel Connect, this first one I went to, and you were trying to explain what cloud was. And you're like, guys, cloud is just, it's not here. I remember explaining that, like, okay, now I get it.
It's not here.
That's right. That's
Cloud
right.
is just not here.
Yeah.
It's not
That's right.
here.
It was if I recall, it was just a couple of, it's as a service, and it's not here. It's somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought you were like Kamala. I mean, Kamala still says it's not here. Give me another drink. But
Crazy times. Did any of you guys growing up decide, hey, I really want to be in telecom?
I always say sales is the last refuge of the scoundrel, man. You know,
right.
so many folks like liberal arts degree, shocker, ended up in sales. You know, I
you
think-
went into saying, come on, be honest.
funny. But I do think it's interesting because a lot of people kind of stumble into this. You know, it's their first gig. You know, they come through a recruiting service. You know, it's a part-time gig.
They were
find
hiring.
they're good at
Sorry
it.
to interrupt, but they were hiring, right?
Yeah, they were hiring, right?
It was a job.
You find out you're good at it.
I answered an ad in the Grand Rapids Press in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah.
And it said, area millionaire is capitalizing on the deregulation of telephone service and wants to teach 5 ambitious salespeople how to make residual income or something like that.
This was your entrance?
And I went to the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel in downtown Grand Rapids and sat down with a couple other guys, and this local guy said, here's what's going on, it's deregulation, you have an amazing opportunity to get in this business and you'll earn what you're worth, something like that.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was getting out of college, I was interviewing at Enterprise Rent-A-Car and Quality Farm and Fleet.
Like, had the training programs.
Management training programs, right?
Yeah.
And they were all telling me, like, here's how much you'll earn, and then you move up to grade level 2 and you'll make like whatever, 30,000. You'll move up to this. And I have this guy who's like, silver tongued, gray haired guy telling me, like, if you do this, you're gonna make $100,000.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take that chance.
Yeah.
Like I'll take that chance. Now I didn't make that my
interested.
first year, but it wasn't long after that I started making a pretty good living.
Yeah.
And I just felt like this was the place to be where I could get paid for the value I brought to the marketplace.
Right.
Versus having the marketplace put a value on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hunting versus.
that really, it just changed my whole perception
Yeah.
of how
Yeah.
things could work. But silly story, I answered a class.
That's amazing.
That's perfect.
I've always been
You know what? I'm so glad. Think about it. Think if you'd gotten that other ad where, because I've done those too, where you show up in the hotel and they're trying to get you to sell steak knives.
For sure. Well, and I did a bunch of those, so I thought I
Like
went in with
Virgin
very,
Jakes.
very low expectations. But I had a mentor who said, just take all the interviews, like get reps in.
Yeah.
And then, maybe if your dream job is to work for Ernst & Young or a Big 5 accounting firm, like my dream was work in a big shiny building, wear a suit every day. Turns out I really like the freedom of sales better than working in a big shiny building every day. And but I just didn't know any different. But from going to those pitches also, whatever the Cutco knives and those places, I thought there must be something to this because there's a lot of people who do it. I just need to find a place to land for me.
Yeah.
And-
I've always just been fascinated that this whole channel was born out of thousands of people that just randomly stumbled into it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I've yet to meet anybody that said when I was 14 I dreamt of being
Yeah.
in telecom. Right?
It's
Just,
not on my list.
Or I went to college to learn telecom. Right. No, it wasn't that.
Nobody.
We all stumbled into it. Right.
Well,
And
very few-
that's a big change for today, though. Right. It's a big change. You talk about kind of the talent pool, right?
Yeah.
That we used to develop. I'm really bullish about the talent pool now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right, and the reason why is because these are kids that are growing up and natively have grown up in this
The technology era.
right, and they're not seeing telecom like we understood it, right?
Yeah.
They're seeing where AI is going. They're being very opportunistic around what the opportunities are, and that's what our industry has become, right? People ask, like when they ask you today, when somebody asks you, what do you do for a living? How do you answer that question?
It depends on who it is.
Okay. they're not in our industry, right?
But
yeah.
generally, I say I work for a technology broker.
Yeah.
And we help to eliminate the confusion, hassle, and high costs associated
Okay.
with finding,
Yeah.
selecting, implementing, and managing business technology services.
There you go.
Something like that. It's built
Some
around
version of that,
those
yeah.
Lego
Yeah,
blocks.
yeah.
And then I can go different directions with that. And depending on who it is, I can compare it to an insurance broker.
Yeah,
or stuff.
yeah,
Like
of
I can.
course.
There's all.
But if you have to answer it in one word, what would it be? What's the industry you're in?
technology.
Technology.
That's
Now,
different
yeah.
though, because what was
We
it?
used to say
What was
tele-
it 5-6 years ago?
We used to say telecom.
You said it's telecom.
It's telecom,
Telecom.
Yep.
right?
Yes,
We've always been
for
in
sure.
telecom, but we don't answer that. That's not what we're in now, right? It's evolved way past that, way past that, right?
Well, Chris, you said, we're lifers, but the rush of technology is what just keeps me wanting to be part of it,
Yeah.
keep doing more.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
think about it. I mean, both of us, we sold long distance, right?
Right.
How much did you love getting somebody who had a bank of 40 fax machines that had to do long distance faxing because they were pumping those minutes, right? That
So
tone,
good,
that
yeah.
fax tone went off,
So
but back then that was technology.
My favorite sound back then was the sound of that phone bill hitting the desk.
Yeah.
That thump.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, I like that. I like all those pages.
You know what I don't
Could you get on a calculator, man?
Oh, I
Not
could-
the fax machine ringing when the
I would.
yellow
I
wave
was.
getting
Look, we
sent
could tell
in.
these stories
That
for
was
days,
the
but people-
worst thing that was waiting on the fax machine. I mean, something about waiting for an email or DocuSign is not as bad as just sitting there. I'm faxing it over right now. You'd walk over to the machine, you stare at it.
at the machine.
Well, I would say I follow up Fridays, right? So I'm calling people on Friday, following up. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna fax it over," and I just say, "Okay, I'm by the fax machine. I'll wait." They say, "What?"
Yeah.
Well, you said you're gonna fax it over. I'm standing right by it. Here, do you have a pen? I'll repeat my number.
Yeah.
And then I just stand there. And they said, "No, like we'll fax it out later this afternoon." Like, well, about what time? And I'll be standing by the machine.
Yeah.
Keep pushing them.
Yeah,
I
pick up
love
the
it.
line, make sure it's
I
on.
love it.
Yeah. We had a bank of fax machines around for the sales
Yeah, yeah.
force. We, like
No, we had
12
a-
fax machines.
we had a-
I carried a picture of that bank. So after, if you were face to face
Right.
with somebody, and it'd say, "Yeah, no, you can just fax it over," and I'd slide the picture. Those are the faxes. They'll be waiting for
These
you.
are stories. These are stories we tell young salespeople.
Yeah.
They can't believe it. Like,
No, that's right.
That we had an admin who her job was to manage the horseshoe-shaped room of fax machines for the sales team.
Oh, yeah.
And as they came in, pull them off,
And
staple
make sure
them
it
in
went to
order,
the right salesperson.
and put them in the paper mailboxes where you could come in and Basa would grab his stack of faxes to go through. No one could get their head around that.
Like, guys, my
Different
first
world.
job in telecom, we were 100 people in a contact center, and we had a room with a computer,
Yeah.
and we all shared the computer.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So when you had to, I'm gonna stop. I'm feeling. Where's the alcohol?
Where's the Jarrett talk?
I'll go get some.
Is that still a thing?
I'll go get it.
Apparently it is. Chris must know about it.
Wow, that's crazy. So let's talk about today and tomorrow and the channel. Would you say that the channel is in the healthiest condition it's ever been? Or do you think there's things we really need to do to get better?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think it's both. From a health perspective, I think it's limitless where we can go in the channel.
Yeah.
It's limitless where we can go. But are there things that we have to pay attention to make sure that happens? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think a commitment to what's best for the end user. I think that has to be reestablished in some cases. I'm fortunate to have some great advisor partners that do that every single day. But I'm sure you guys have had conversations with people who are just like, they're thinking about the swimming pool. They're getting a swimming pool, not thinking about, is that going to take my client's network configuration where it needs to go?
Yeah.
And I think for the channel to be successful, we can't forget that it all comes from making sure we're delivering real solutions that matter to these end users who
that's good.
are paying the bills, that are creating these commissions that can be unlimited for people if they just continue to do what we've always done.
I would say the biggest challenge we have in the channel, because you're right, we've got tons of momentum, there's providers in it, there's this show, right? But is for at the TA level or the MSP level to continue to show proof of value of what they're bringing. Because as AI becomes more prevalent and there is more information available, is the customer going to interface with an AI to buy their big, huge solution, or are they going to interface with that human advisor? We, of course, all believe it's going to be a combination of both, but it's going to be advisors that lean in, can show their value. That's what keeps the channel going. Because I guess the old joke was like, if AT&T or mega carriers were perfect everything, there wouldn't be technology advisors. You know, we exist because those companies are really big. And how do you continue to make that small in an era where that young person is just going to ask, hey, Claude,
Yeah.
what does Granite offer and should I buy them?
Yeah, yeah. I've got multi-location, multi-region. Who should I buy from?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, AI is not there yet because it doesn't spit out the right data.
Yeah, but that's
all
always
the
the
time.
key.
It's close.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but it will
Yeah.
be. It will get better. Everything's getting better. And that's the thing is the beauty about this industry and why young people can come in today because they don't have to know anything about DSL and T1s and all this stuff that we grew up on. I mean, they can come in today learning about today's technology and go learn what the value proposition is and provide value to a customer. They can enter now. They don't have to have 20 years experience or in your case 30 or 40.
Thank you.
The good news is the tools that are being built will help guide them.
Yeah.
But I think I agree, there's never been a better time to be in this business, to be in the channel. And if you look at the coming of age story, we're starting to look like other industries that have mature, independent sales organizations, financial services, real estate, insurance. And also, we talked about this a little bit, maybe a minute ago, the youth coming in, there's a bit of a hustle culture now, right? And social media says I have to drive a Lamborghini, I have to do these things. So they're looking for business opportunities in a different way than maybe Chris is like, yeah, I'm not selling Cutco knives. It doesn't matter if the guy drives a Lambo, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to have a group of people who want to come into this business, maybe similar to came into insurance because they saw, I could have a yacht someday.
But hopefully the big key is that the people, whether it's ourselves, I'm not going to call us seniors, but the experienced people with some the people with some tenure, and we're talking about legends. And guys, I'm sitting with you. I'm humbled, but I mean, Tim, we share a belief in sales as a profession.
100%.
And if we can have this younger group understand that the channel will thrive if you are treating sales as a profession. It's not, I couldn't get anything else, so I took a sales job. That's
So in college, so my daughter's going to graduate here in a couple months, and her minor is in professional sales. So when we were going to school, there was no professional sales. So now there are kids going to school, and this has been going on for maybe 20 years now. But the professional selling, I think it started in Chicago, and so you have these kids who have hustle and ambition, and there's this entrepreneurship culture.
Yes.
So to go back to what Chris said, I think it's our job to protect it now. Because we're going to have, people are going to find us. There's smart money's in the game. Companies are getting bigger. We're going to attract more talent, just like those other industries. There's really good professional real estate agencies, and there's really good professional technology advisors. We got to keep making sure we're taking the professional bar to the next level, and it's not just a bunch of hustle, because that's what it was when we all started. We were outsiders. It was like this little group of bandits running around the country signing LOAs.
We had to get after it back then because it didn't
100%.
exist. But now, if you can take these tools and it's not just you're not just taking a sales program back in the day, right? I read a book, okay, that's great. It's making sure that we continue to put out that professionalism that they can all see and they can grasp that.
I think we're all teaching that.
Yeah, and I think that's also why we're seeing larger deals in the channel.
100%.
Remember the first time there was a $10,000 deal in the channel, you were shocked.
Getting excited.
And now we're doing $1 million deals in the channel. But that's also because the culture has changed.
Chris, just to clarify for those watching, it's $10,000 a month we would get excied about, and now it's $1 million a month. And also, because of people who are coming in the channel, I'll let you finish, but people will say to me, oh, it's $1 million deal, and they'll say ARR. And I'll say, oh. What a disappointment.
I hate that.
Now,
TCV,
but by the way, I'm thrilled, just like you guys are. When I get a call from someone who's new in the business, or their ambition is to have a hell of a life, right? They want a great house, they want a vacation house, they want to put their kids through college, and they're selling 3K deals, 10K deals. Like I'm super happy for them.
Yeah,
Like my goal for everybody I work with is to help them achieve their most ambitious goals.
Yeah.
It's
But
funny.
I
you say
come out
that.
of my chair like the first $1 million a month deal, and now we see those they're pretty common.
Yeah, yeah.
More
But that's a
common than
tribute
before.
to all the people that we collaboratively
Yes,
work with, like
yes.
to raise the standard, to
Yeah.
raise the skill,
It's remarkable,
and
yeah.
also now enterprise businesses, decision makers of these companies, they're seeking our community out.
That's right.
Because we come in agnostic.
Yeah.
We're looking out for them versus looking out for the logo on our business card.
Right.
That's a special thing.
Yeah.
And that's that's been our life's work up to this point, I think.
Yeah.
You're 100% spot on because, looking further back and look at this show, like this is my 25th channel partner show that I've been to. And the communities were different many years ago. I mean, Thomas, you're not going to sell $1 million deal 25 years ago because the sales professionalism wasn't there.
Right.
I remember Alan Sandler told me this joke about like when he was starting Sandler Partners, he would take any used car salesman he could get to get into the business because they would drive it. Of
course.
And that led to kind of a weird era. We're not there anymore. We're professionals.
Yeah.
We are enterprise.
Right.
We are what Fortune 50 companies come to buy their services.
And now some of the folks coming in are coming from big consulting firms.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? Or global systems integrators.
That's right.
They're coming in and they're hearing about it's still a little secret society, right?
Yeah.
But it's super professional.
Yeah.
It's very high end. It's what you make it. And they're hearing about this and they're saying, wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I can help a customer and have a long-term relationship and work
Absolutely.
for myself, hang my own shingle. And,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, you guys will be back office as a service, sales engineering as
Yeah,
you'll lean
yeah,
in and
yeah.
help me build my business.
And the million MRR stories are out there now.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
case studies that you can talk about, and they're hearing that and they're going, "Hey, I want to see if
People
I can
think
be
it's
part
too
of that."
good to be true. I'm sure you guys have
Yeah.
the same experience. We
Yeah.
talk about our services, solutions, and tools, and helping people make data-backed decisions. And they're like, "You're like, you can help me compete with McKinsey,
Yeah,
or
yeah, that's right.
Accenture,
That's exactly
or
right.
IBM Global Services."
The other thing that really drives this industry for us, right, is the vendor side of the house.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
And we've always had the big carriers that come and go, and they commit to the channel, they pull
then
out
they
of
change
the
their
channel,
mind,
they
they
go
come back.
again.
Right.
We've seen all those cycles, and then you've always had smaller guys that come in as well. But guys, there's technology vendors out there now that never even had no idea just 2 years ago what a TSD was.
100%.
No idea what this channel was all about, and to get their minds wrapped around things like evergreen commissions. Are you kidding me? But that is now starting to accelerate, right? I mean, we commissioned a report by Bain that looked at and you guys are part of this as well.
Yeah.
We did this together, and they came back with some fascinating data, right? That just makes the argument hands down that this is a better way to buy, right?
100%.
And for vendors, what it's proving to them is this channel. Oh, by the way, you're going to pay 20% forever. As I always like to say, you're going to pay us forever and ever. Amen.
Yeah.
Right. That's so.
You should make that in a country song.
You like that? It sounds like a country song.
nice
Yeah. But you're going to pay us forever, and they struggle with that. But guess what? Our deals are bigger.
Yep.
Right, through the channel. They stick longer. There's lower churn, right? The average tenure of a direct sales rep is something like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And the average tenure of a trusted advisor, technology advisor, is over 8 years, right?
Yeah.
When you break down the economics, 20% are, even with that included, this is a more efficient, lower cost path to market to scale your business. And vendors that are doing really innovative things are finally starting to wake up to that. And the technologies coming into the space right now are mind-blowing, right? I mean, really, really exciting. So it's a
rush is
really,
there.
it is.
That's a great point. Let's talk about trusted advisors or sales partners or whatever you want to call them.
We can't say sub-agents anymore.
Sub-agents, whatever.
You can say it.
This guy, this shingle.
Nobody wants to hear
The
it.
guy hanging a shingle, and he's trying to get relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
What's the advice you want to give him or her? What's the one thing? What's the one thing you wish that they would listen to, and I don't want to say do different, but do to become better?
Well, for me, I have a pretty standard talk track.
And you can't say buy from Teleris or
No,
buy
no,
from
no, look.
Direct, but
I have a personal thing that ties into Teleris. I think it ties into Avant and AppDirect, which is we want to attract the best technology advisors into the ecosystem. My advice now to folks is maybe a little bit controversial. It's don't specialize unless you really want to be a specialist. And the analogy I use, maybe to your blueprint analogy, is if you're going to build a dream home, you go to a general contractor, and the general contractor brings in a plumber and a tile guy. So businesses now, they just don't have time to meet with 3 cybersecurity people,
Right.
and 4 voice people, and a network person. They want a general contractor to come in and build the technology stack of their dreams and take the friction away. Give them confidence to go to the board or interact with the buyer's table, because everyone has a seat at the table now too. HR's there. It's not just technology,
Right.
it's HR and marketing. So what we try to preach with my talk track is, think about becoming a general contractor, have a major and a minor. You can major in cyber and minor in CX. You can major in CX, but don't not mention all of the technology landscape. And we do a lot of sales enablement and training around how to soft present that. So I think my piece of advice is be an expert generalist, know where the specialists lie to bring them in, and focus on creating solving problems, creating the right business outcomes. I think that's my best advice.
That's great.
Don't niche yourself into pigeonhole yourself into a niche. Be more of a generalist.
I take it from a slightly different standpoint, and I love everything you said there. But what I would also challenge, like when I talk to a new advisor, new TA, new MSP, is recognize that you're in a service industry. You're not there to sell. You're really
Yep,
not.
that's good.
You're here to help people. Technology is, next to food, probably the most important thing in a person's life now, and the most important thing definitely in their business. It's confusing. It's crazy. We don't have 30 vendors on our line card. We have thousands.
Yeah.
And your job is to help. Don't focus on the commission. Don't focus on the spiff. Don't focus on the President's Club trip. If you can focus on just helping, the rest of it will come along and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But if you get focused, and I've seen that it's the crash and burn rep that gets so focused on a spiff or picks a carrier because they paid 1% more,
Right.
you're going to fail. You will not be in this long term. Focus on helping.
Well, the client already knows. The client already knows because of ChatGPT or just peers.
What do you mean you get paid on this?
Look, birds of a feather fly together. So they hang out at a country club and they say, "Oh, so who are you using for phone system, or who are you using for whatever the case may be?" So they already know. So Chris, you're exactly right. Like, our job is to help teach people how to guide the decision.
You know,
not to
I
make
made the
sales.
comment about can we say sub-agent? But really, the reason that the term advisor has been grasped is exactly that. Your job is to advise, to give them options, to let them see. And I obviously come from a slightly different perspective. I mean, you were there with me back in the day,
100%.
but you're back on the TSD side, coming from the provider side whose responsibility is to embrace the channel to get where we're trying to go, and providing multiple solutions. We were a one-trick pony for a long time, and when you're a billion-dollar one-trick pony, people, you like that, but that's all gone away. But we're at $2 billion because we're doing what you had said, not multiple solutions, not sticking to one thing, but then taking that and hoping that the people that we work with that choose to be advisors on the solutions my company can bring to the table is doing exactly that. Here are your options, because we are. I mean, I would say that one thing about my company that I'm proud of is we are the channel, because I'm selling every single one of those incumbents, every single one of those networks. They talk about us. They talk about us because we're bringing everything they bring to the table, and advisors can take a piece of all of that. And that, I think, is a huge differentiator. So what do we tell people? Tell people the truth. There are many things to look at, and I understand a lot of them.
Yeah.
That's what I would suggest.
This idea of helping others, right? That focus on that, right? That's not a new idea, right? I mean, this is as old as time. I mean, Zig Ziglar, right? What did he say? If you can get everything in life that you want, as long as you help enough other people get what they want,
exactly
right?
Exactly.
Right. My advice to people coming in is I try to simplify it. Become a great storyteller.
Yeah.
I think right now, leaders in businesses have to have a vision of where this is going,
Yeah.
what's possible. TAs play a very important role in helping to paint that picture. If they can help their IT leader become a great storyteller, so that then when they walk into the CEO's office, right, they can paint the picture of what's possible, where this is going.
is what we can do.
How fast this is moving. We've talked about the waves and so forth,
Yeah.
right? Guys, we've never seen anything like this.
That's right.
I've never ever seen things move this fast. I've
Yeah.
never seen the total addressable market be as big and getting bigger every single freaking day.
Right.
I mean, new paths to revenue. I talk about it in the context of the monetization of labor, right?
Yeah.
Every dollar that's moving from labor spend is moving into technology spend, and that's what we all live on every day. That's what's fueling our industry, right? And the addressable market around that, I mean, guys, it is 5, 6, 7 times larger than it's ever been,
Yeah.
and only getting bigger,
Yeah.
right? Only getting bigger. And it's not the idea that I'm going to fire a bunch of people and have a bunch of technology, guys. This is, if I can make my people radically more efficient by investing in technology, then guess what ends up happening? I end up hiring more people that can be radically efficient
Right.
to expand our capacity even more.
That drives
right?
growth.
Even more. And that drives growth. And that's why this is such an exciting time for our industry, right? And to paint that picture, TAs have to be able to tell that story.
Yeah.
They got to be able to get inside the imagination of customers to paint that picture of what's going to happen next and what's possible for
Andrew,
you.
you're making my heart happy right now.
Yeah.
'Cause, look, we do these sales mastery trainings.
Yeah,
So that, and
yeah.
there's some little isms that we teach. So be of service. We've all
sure,
said that.
sure.
We say facts tell, stories sell.
Yeah.
And sometimes people know what they want, but when you talk in data,
Yeah.
they can't see the data. So we also say to understand why John Smith buys, you
Yeah.
need to see the world through John Smith's eyes.
Yeah.
So if we use our inside lingo with the outside world, you were talking about acronyms before we started rolling.
Yeah.
No one understands what we're saying.
Right.
We
Yeah,
have
they
to
pale over,
we have to
yeah.
understand their lingo
Yeah.
and their stories, and then we can frame up a story that they'll understand, and they now can see the future through
Yeah.
our eyes. But if we just tell them our story,
Yeah.
they can't see our story.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
can't see our story with us without
That's
us
right.
knowing a little bit about them. The other thing that we have, all these platitudes that, you listen to people on stage in the main room there giving keynotes. I won't say the name, but someone just, business outcomes, business outcomes, business outcomes. I've never walked into a boardroom where someone said, "Hey, we're here to focus on the business outcomes."
Yeah, yeah.
They talk about a frustration they have, or
Yeah,
a problem they have.
yeah.
So I love what you're saying. I think we have to collectively have to keep evangelizing that, and in any way we can,
Yeah.
teach people how to do that.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is they take a sales course or read a sales book that was written by someone who's a theorist who's never made a sale.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? Only in their nightmares, right? and our channel is loaded with people and current advisors who are very successful that know how to weave a narrative,
Yeah.
that know how to bring a buyer's table together
Yeah.
and address the independent needs of that group, and then come back with a story that helps them see their success in a way that's not threatening.
We have this remarkable future in front of us, and the pace of this is growing is unbelievable. But there's also, in my mind, more than ever, a sense of urgency around this.
Yeah.
Because of how fast things are moving, right? This industry is not going to look the same in 3, 4, 5 years. There's a window here, and it doesn't mean it's going to go away. I'm not saying that.
No, it's just gonna
gonna
evolve.
It's going to
Yeah.
evolve, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to evolve at a pace that's far, far, far faster. For me, this isn't about, as a TA, are you going to be in business in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
What it does mean, though, is are you going to matter in 5 years?
Yeah.
Bingo.
It's existential relevance is what
Yeah.
I talk about, right?
Yeah.
It's like, right. Existential
Yeah.
is like life or death, right? Survival.
Yeah.
It's not about are you going to live or die. It's about are you going to matter, right?
Yeah.
And the customer is in the same thing. I met with I was chatting with Jay McBain earlier today, and he threw out a stat that kind of I had never thought of. He said that 51% of the Fortune 100 will not exist in 20 years. That's based on historical data.
Right.
Every 20 years, if you look at over the next 20 years, 51% of your Fortune 100 companies will not be here in 20 years. By the way, the
extraordinary.
Fortune 1000, 73% in 10 years.
Really?
In 10 years,
Wow.
That's insane.
right? So our customers that we're advising today,
Yeah.
right? The odds are against them.
Yes.
The odds are in 5, 7, 10 years, they won't even be around anymore, right? So we have this opportunity to guide them, to paint a picture of, hey, this is how you compete and win in this new world. This isn't just about how, hey, I can save you 23% of
Yeah.
your long distance
Right.
bill,
Those days
right?
are
Right.
over.
I miss
Right.
those days.
Those days are
Yeah.
way over, right? Now it's about, hey, let's talk about how we can leverage technology to help you grow faster, to
Yeah.
help you, talk about relevance. If I can save you money, you're appreciative. But if I can show you how to make money, I'm the
That's-
hero, right?
yeah,
My
exactly.
relevance
Yep.
goes right through the roof, and it's so critical that TAs get good at telling that
And the
story.
relevance always comes down to the trust
Yeah.
that they have.
Yeah.
That we are in a people business, a people-run business, and what a TA can do to educate themselves, to know their resources, and to speak to that customer's frustration. That is the one thing that AI cannot solve.
Yeah.
AI cannot give the human connection I have when I stand across from you and tell you, this is the solution that I believe you need to run your business better,
Yeah.
to solve the problem that you have. That's where we all make our money, and,
Yeah.
and that's what makes this channel what it is.
Yeah, all those answers are great answers, and they're all, you can write a book, and you're going to write a lot of books. I'm going to force you to write books. You can write books about everything, all your answers of what you wish, trust advisor would say. I think about, like, on one hand, it can be a complex business, right? We started selling LD, we started selling, circuits, and then now SaaS, that brings a revenue pool up. Now we've got AI, and that brings a revenue pool up. CX was in there. There's all these expansions of things that we can sell to the degree that we need to be not specialists in one thing, but kind of a quarterback on it all. But I go back to, like, Rick Sheldon. One time he told me when I was interviewing him for the documentary on the channel and all that, we were talking about how complex it is. He goes, it's not complex. He says, this business is about connecting. Like, people want to connect. That's all we do. We use different technologies for it, but people just want to connect. They want to be connected. They want to be connected at AT&T. They want to be connected to Granite. They want to be connected to, a TSD. So the most successful salespeople I've ever seen, and I've been in 6 different industries. I spent 15 years in insurance. I didn't even want to be on a plane and tell somebody what I did. They're like, what do you do? I was like, I sell insurance. Okay. Or I run agencies and sell
Immediately
insurance.
put their headphones on.
Now I'm like, technology. Like, that's sexy, But the most successful salespeople I've ever seen, they know how to ask questions that bring out conversation. And they listen. They're present. They're not thinking about what they want to sell. They're thinking about, what's that person going through? What's their problem? How can I come up with a solution for that? But they do a lot more listening than they do selling. They don't even sell. And even in this industry, some of the most successful icons in this industry that have their TA, business or whatever they've been doing, they're making $1 million a month or whatever they're doing. They're really present people. Like, that blows me away. That would be my takeaway to give to a TA.
Steve,
Listen.
to support that, I think we've all been we travel all the time. We've all been in hotels, and there's multiple trade shows going on at a different time. When you look at the interaction of a channel, whether it's a trade show, a summit, whatever, when you look at the interaction of the participants in the channel space, it is intense. Whether I'm not going to talk about what happens at 2:30 at the lobby at the casino bar at Palazzo tonight, but at 10 o'clock maybe, those conversations, everyone's doing exactly what you just said. They're asking questions, getting answers, and it's back and forth. And you could go, I'm sure you have some stories about some trade shows or some conferences with insurance brokers, but that's not the same vibe.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think the channel is trained to ask those questions, to dig deep, to find out what that person's doing, what they're trying to accomplish. And I think it just speaks to what the channel is.
I'll just say real quick, and I think it's the collective we, the whole community. Because we have analysts and outsiders, people traveling from foreign lands to come here and see what's going on in the US and how this is going, it's a really special thing. But to piggyback on what you just said, our Tolaris Partner Summit last year, I was standing with Dan and Adam, our CRO and CEO, and an analyst came up from a very famous firm and said, what do you guys put in the water here?
Yeah.
he said, I've been to all the conferences around the globe.
Yeah.
All the big SaaS conferences, all the places. I've never seen, and you guys experience this too, so I don't know that it's unique. I've never seen so many hugs, high fives, fist bumps, belly laughs. We're getting ready for the next segment, and that's how I opened the segment and said, hey, I just had a conversation with a gentleman. I had something different prepared to say, but I want to comment because it's a community.
That's
and
for sure.
It's a family.
There's friendly competitors, but we want to win. And the market's so big that we're all going to win. Everyone's going to carve out their niche. People have differentiation, and that's great. But this idea that you can walk through here at 10 o'clock or 3 o'clock a.m., 3 a.m., and bump into somebody who gives you a bear hug and asks you how your family is, it's a pretty special thing.
And it's genuine.
It's real. It's real.
It's
Like so my son's pretty new to the channel, and this guy a little bit older, maybe our age, looks him in the eye the other night and says, what's the three things you want to get out of the show? And we walk away, Adam answers, and we walk away, and he says, what was that guy's angle? I said, there's no angle. He was genuinely curious
about you.
Because you're 20 years younger than him. He wants to know, like, why are you here? He wants to know,
that's great.
like, it's a curiosity.
Well, that's why this is so important. I'm sorry. I was just saying, that's why this is so important. Telling the stories, because that's how it'll evolve. I mean, you and I could tell stories of the days when we'd be showing up in the same lobby. You know, one of us, our name was in the book already. You know, and
I literally look.
But Charlie
was here on Wednesday.
But your son and the people that are important to me that are coming into the business, they have to hear about that because they have to see that I wanted to beat you, you wanted to beat me, but we'd see each other and we would laugh. Oh, you got that one, I got that one. Guess what? There's 5 more we're both going to get.
It's super important. Like that was POTS aggregation. Like people will not know what that is now, right? But it's true. I wanted to win, you wanted to win, but here's what I wanted. If you were in Home Depot and I was in Home Depot, I wanted one of us to win.
Right.
So when the Home Depot guys went and talked to the Lowe's guys or whoever,
aggregation
they'd
works.
say aggregation works.
Right.
And it was down to Granite and Bullseye, and we went with Granite, or we went Bullseye. And then that story spreads in that multi-unit operating community, and then we didn't have to struggle to sell. And that's what's going on here with technology advisors, is they was like, well, what's a technology advisor? Well, now people know. The term technology advisor, last we checked, appears 30 million times on the internet. That's pretty cool. We also say trusted advisor, right? But the issue with trusted advisor is it appears more, but financial services comes up first. So we're fighting we're swimming upstream with trusted advisor. I think they're a bit interchangeable, but technology advisor we can own like real
specific
estate,
and you can
or
own.
tech advisor.
You know, we all serve TAs, right? Every day, and our businesses collectively, we're all built around that, right? Jay Bradley has always been a mentor of mine. Just mad respect for this guy. And when I sold my company to Intelisys in 2012, I got kind of immersed in the culture of Intelisys back then, very, very quickly. In every single executive meeting that we had every week, our leadership meeting, he would make the point in some way that it's not about us, it's about them. Right? It's not about us, it's about them. And he would hammer that home, and that became our filter for everything that we did, right? If we were doing a marketing campaign, if we're doing some event, if we're doing, guys, is that about us or is it about them, right? I think that drove us as a business, and it helped shape so much of what we did and how we operated. It forced a humility on us as well that was really incredibly valuable. But what it also showed to TAs is it modeled a really important behavior. It's not about you. It's about your customer.
That's right.
Right. It's about your customer, and I think that's part of why this business. It's the magic of it. Right? It's why this works so well. And I know we have to wrap. I mean, this is why we have such an exciting future together, guys. I mean, combine that with how this market is opening up for technology spend and customers who so desperately need trusted advisors, technology advisors to help guide them and bring them clarity where there's confusion. Never seen a bigger opportunity.
And we do have to wrap. I told you guys an hour, and I can see why Joe Rogan goes 3 hours. Because, seriously, we could sit here, if we had alcohol, we could sit here and really enjoy this.
We can do it without alcohol
a lot longer.
Well, it is Vegas.
It is Vegas.
But I want to close with something personal.
Oh boy.
I want to dig deep into
no.
the souls of each
I'm gonna try
one
to
of
make
you.
Chris cry.
Not a chance.
No,
No, just like he
have a heart.
he opened up so much earlier. I think there's an opportunity. Maybe, I don't know.
You know, the traditional Top Gun show has millions and millions of people watching every episode. You know that, right?
Of course.
Of course, of course.
This is gonna dwarf that. Okay.
Billions.
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 I feel like a Barbara Walters question.
It's being
coming.
streamed.
So-
Pack East is seeing
So
all this.
here's
Yeah,
my
it's so fun.
question
It's
for
cool.
you, as a professional and as good humans. What do you want your legacy to be? When you look ahead 10, 20 years from now, when you retire, and then I'm going to retire another 10 or 20 after that,
Oh, sure.
because I have a 3-year-old,
Yeah, yeah.
so I have to work longer.
Yeah.
What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want your legacy? What do you want to be known for? When you're gone, what do you want people to say about you in this industry? Do you want me to start? Because I knew the question, so I kind of have an answer for me.
I'll tell you,
Okay.
at the end of the day, when I look at the advisors I've helped, for the channel managers that have worked underneath me, I just want them to say 2 things. Chris was real, and Chris cared. That's it. Because there's too many folks I've dealt with over the years, whether it's in sales or management or anything, they're fake. And they really don't care. They care about themselves. They don't care about me. I care about my advisors. I care about my people. And no, I didn't cry. But yeah, that would be the things I would want.
Maybe his follow-up question will make you cry.
I think that is a true statement. Working for you for 5 years, I would say, amen. You live that in private meetings and the decisions you make. I'm not going to make a comment on every one of you, but I'm just saying that that's a true
Or
statement.
we'll
what
feel
you said.
slighted if you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, it's on my LinkedIn profile. You guys know me for a while. I like being of service to people in this business. And my goal has always been to help people achieve their most ambitious goals. So when I'm interviewing someone to be a direct seller, I'd say, I'd ask them their personal goals. I won't get into the whole interview question. And then I'd burn that in my memory, and my goal is to help them achieve their most ambitious goal. And now if it's entrepreneurs in our community, that's what I want to do. My favorite things are to see people walk across a President's Club stage, whether it's ours or yours. To see Catherine on stage, emceeing, yesterday main stage, or people walk through the work. That fills me up to see other people achieve. And you said earlier, maybe it was my reading the Zig Ziglars and Tony Robbins, and Jim Rohn. That's really what it is. I want to help others achieve their goals, get what they want, and by doing that, I get what I want.
Yeah, that's great.
If I could, and I think it stems, I think this shows a consistency of why we're in this business, because my answer would be similar. My hope for the people that I work with, whether they work for me, whether I work with them from a partnership standpoint, is that they recognize that any engagement, I want that conversation, I want that next step to always be, how do we get you where you're trying to go? Whether it's the customer, whether it's the technology advisor that I'm working with, whether it's one of my channel managers, where are you trying to get to? What are you trying to do? Here's a few things that I've seen that have worked. And the one thing that has always worked is to be real, to be truthful, to be honest. Obviously, a story is a good thing and you want to put a twist on it, but that story should never be false. Don't say something that just isn't true. And I think it's okay to want that to benefit you. I think as a salesperson, I think about if it's going to benefit me when I'm getting a deal done. But if I'm thinking about that while I'm trying to help this person, I can't do my job as well. So I think I don't even know if I deserve a legacy, but I would like to think that people are going to say, hey, that's a guy who was around for a long time, and he never once put me down a path that wasn't truthful. He never once brought me to a place that wasn't going to help me. It was trying to help him. And I think our industry sort of represents that too. But that's where I want to be.
Right?
There you go.
So I was.
And you do deserve to be lifted up a little bit. I mean, not too many people have built a $500 million recurring revenue channel business. Okay.
There you go.
Go to
There
you.
you go.
Go to you. Just
There you go.
accept it. Accept it.
A number of years back, I was walking through an airport. I forget what airport. This guy walks up to me. I've never seen him before in my life. And he goes to shake my hand and says, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to meet you. I watch you in my basement every night."
Yeah.
a little creepy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, very, very creepy. But it illustrated for me as we teach, right?
Yeah.
And as we we have the power of video and podcasts and online learning and all this different kind of stuff. This scale that we can achieve, and how many people we can touch, right? I'm always humbled by that, and it's a really cool thing. So, for me, John Yessis, John Yessis, a great guy, just left 5'9" for Sonus, and he's a leader in the channel now and doing great. He told me 6 months ago, he says, man, 10 years ago I went through all of your certifications at Cloud Services University. I knew nothing about this industry,
That's great.
and it taught me everything about this
Wow.
industry. Thank you.
Yeah,
And now
feel
you
good,
fast
right?
forward, and he's thriving, right? I mean, we can all point to people like that, right? We can all point to people like that we invested in early, in some fashion.
And look what they're doing now.
And look what they're doing now. And that's what I want it to be. There's no better feeling than that.
That's
I
awesome.
love it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
That's great, Andrew.
Well, I was going to say that I want to be known as a Raider fan, even though the Raiders never win anymore. But I'm going to shoot a little higher than that. Mine is, I just like promoting people. I just really do. It's kind of in my DNA. I like to get to know somebody, get what their story is, and help them be successful, whether it be on the Top Gun show or what have you, or just introduce them to another partner or something that they can learn from or whatever. When I'm dead and gone, I just want people to think, yeah, Steve guy, like he was really authentic, and he really cared about people. He wanted other people to be successful. And I've kind of always been driven by that. Like, whatever industry I'm in, whatever I'm doing with my life, personally, professionally, I don't think about what am I going to get out of it. I really like to introduce people and make them successful, and make them feel better about themselves. Because you know what? Life's hard.
Well, Steve, you
marriage
said
is hard,
something.
raising kids is hard, working is hard.
You said something I think is really important, especially with the rise of AI. AI is artificial intelligence, and you talk about authentic intelligence. And I think as we advance, people are going to crave that authenticity that we can teach people how to have, whether it's through a story or through the tools we teach them how to use, so they can present in a way that's in the best interest of their client versus some machine spitting out a fact that may or may not be right. So
Copyright authentic intelligence.
There's his butt. There's the pet.
You do have a lot of content for books. I know we've talked about that. But anyway, we got to close. I want to thank you all. I am beyond honored to have you here and have you just talk and tell stories and share your wisdom and the years that you've been doing this. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Enjoyable. Thanks,
Thank you.
Steve.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having us, Steve.
Thanks,
Take
Steve.
care.
thanks, Steve.
Thanks for watching, everybody.